Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, I do want to speak about Joan Laporta maybe leaving FC Barcelona because of a motion of no confidence that is being built by influential fan groups. This does come at a time where we have just seen Joan Laporta achieve the 1-1 rule with Barcelona for the first time since 2019. So this is what Sport had to say. All Barcelona opposition groups jointly ask for Joan Laporta's resignation and threaten to file a motion of no confidence. All of them are influential fan groups who hold great sway over the broader local fan base of FC Barcelona. Never before have 10 opinion groups, platforms, or association linked to Barcelona come together to demand the resignation of the club president. And yes, these group of people placed out a statement on social media, and what it's basically saying is these are going to be our demands and these are going to be our concerns. We want the immediate resignation of the current board. They want a motion of no confidence if a resignation from Joan Laporta does not take place. Then it states here, opposition groups are united in their demand of Joan Laporta's resignation due to a perceived need for fresh management to revitalize FC Barcelona, which they believe is suffering from high-level mismanagement, aka they're also talking about the Dani, Olmo, Víctor situation. Then they argued that the continuous mismanagement and financial instability have caused irreparable damage to the club's image and reputation, promoting their call for change. Then they have said that there is a evident social crisis within the club, suggesting that without significant changes, long-lasting negative impacts are inevitable. And they're basically referencing that Barcelona are always living on a financial edge, right? Barely making it in terms of signing players or barely making it in terms of fitting the players within the wage bill. So this has been one of their biggest concerns, and that is why they're saying, if you don't want to resign, Joan Laporta, we will start a motion of no confidence. This is the exact same thing that happened to ex-president Bartomeu, who managed FC Barcelona between 2015 and 2020. And the reason why he did leave a year and a half earlier was because of what he has done to the club by bringing in players like Antoine Griezmann, Philippe Coutinho, or Dembélé after selling Neymar for 220 million euros, and none of those players that Bartomeu brought in any real good results. It was a very big problem, and Barcelona were only getting worse. And we're speaking about financially and sportingly. Now here's the thing, right? Everybody has been saying that yes, okay, Joan Laporta should step out. But here's going to be the next question. Who is going to be your alternative? It's a very similar situation to how I did approach the Xavi situation when everybody wanted Xavi Hernandez out. Like, okay, you want Xavi out, that's fine, but who is going to be your alternative? You cannot just say Xavi out and then not give a real good alternative to Xavi Hernandez. So the same thing has to go on with Joan Laporta. If it's not going to be Joan Laporta, then who is it going to be? And most people have been saying Victor Font. And so let's talk about Victor Font just for a second. Back in 2020, when he was going up against Joan Laporta, Victor Font did promise that if he were to be the president of FC Barcelona, Xavi would be the next coach of the club. He also committed to paying for fans season tickets out of his own pocket if this did not happen. This was part of the strategies that did convince Lionel Messi to stay at the club, because Messi believed that Xavi was the best person for this task, right, to take on Barcelona for the next couple of years. By the time we got into 2021, Victor Font came out with a very clear structure and plan on moving Barcelona forward, and his vision did include modernizing the club's management and infrastructure, which was highlighted in discussions around his candidacy. However, in terms of the specific details and like the full plan beyond that, he did not really go into it, right? He just spoke very broadly. But ever since Victor Font got defeated by Joan Laporta back in 2021, the only thing Font has been doing in the past years is criticizing Joan Laporta's management approach. He has been very vocal about his disapproval of what he describes as Joan Laporta running the club in a friends or family manner, meaning that Joan Laporta is not a professional. He also criticized the fact that Laporta could not bring in Dani Olmo for the second half of the season. He has said multiple things, and Victor Font also recently did just state about what he thought about Barcelona's performances for this season, and this is what he said. It's improved a little bit because we have a more exciting team, but who generates that hope? That is Lamine Yamal, that is Cubarsí, that is Casado, that is Alejandro Balde. All these guys are not here because of the work of Joan Laporta and his board, who are after 3 failed attempts with coaches have found the key, but in other areas we are much worse. And so I find this statement a little baffling, because the fact that he said the only reason why this team is very exciting is because of Lamine Yamal, Cubarsí, Casado, Balde, etc. You know, that is the reason why Barcelona are a little better today. But then the next question is going to be this: what coach brought in these players? Yes, that is Xavi Hernandez. Xavi Hernandez brought in Lamine Yamal, Cubarsí, Casado, Alejandro Balde, and so forth. Maybe we can say that Casado, not really, maybe it is by Hansi Flick, but Casado Casado was still in the squad from last season. And so for the majority of these players, Xavi Hernandez brought them in. Who brought in Xavi Hernandez in the first place? That is Joan Laporta. And so yes, part of this was because of Joan Laporta. Joan Laporta is one of the reasons why we see a great young squad. And you know what gets even funnier is that I asked Victor Font, would you still say the same thing if you were the president of FC Barcelona? Would you say that with Lamine Yamal, Cubarsí, Casado, Balde, all of this was not done by yourself, right? Would you still say that? Because Joan Laporta brought in Xavi. You also wanted to bring in Xavi Hernandez. So no matter what did happen, Xavi was going to come in and players like Lamine Yamal, Cubarsí, Casado, Balde were going to come up eventually. And would you still say the same thing? Would you still say that this was not the work by me? It was by somebody else? No, I know that if Victor Font was here, he would have said, because of me, players like Lamine Yamal, Cubarsí, Balde, Casado exist because I was the one that hired Xavi Hernandez. So this whole statement is baffling, and I think that is a little stupid. And he's only saying things like this only because he has an agenda. It's because he wants to kick Joan Laporta out. And so when I see somebody so obsessed with taking down one person, so obsessed with taking on the role of FC Barcelona like this in a very negative way, I don't think this is going to be the ideal replacement for Laporta. Yes, Victor Font may be a good man. Maybe he might be a great manager for FC Barcelona, right? The one that manages the financials, the sporting talks, etc. Maybe he might hire the right people. But if you see our current president only going up from here, what is the whole point of replacing the president? And that is what's going to lead me towards the next conversation for this video, is Joan Laporta's era at Barcelona so far. Because if you really look at Laporta's effect per season from 2021 to today, you can see that Barcelona clearly are getting better by the season. Maybe not at the speed that we want it to. Like, yes, it would be ideal for us, to see Joan Laporta come in one season, regroup the whole squad, regroup the club, and then in the next season we end up winning in trouble, right? But that's not realistic. It takes time. Joan Laporta came in back in 2021 and took on a club that had a debt of around 1.35 billion euros, right? Debt. That's not gross income or profits or any of that. No, that is debt that Barcelona had, which was 1.3 billion euros, and negative assets of 455 million euros. Joan Laporta knew that no matter how charismatic he was, how good he was as a manager, or how experienced he was as a president, taking on a club of 1.3 billion euros in debt is a huge situation that you have to resolve, and it does take some time. So he began reducing the first team's wage bill that dropped from 98% to 57%. He activated a few financial levers to improve the club's economic situation. He also was the one that said, okay, I'm going to keep Messi for these next 4 to 5 months while I'm here. But then at the end of the summer back in 2021, he had to let go of Messi because he knew that if they were to keep Messi, Barcelona will go down even more. And Joan Laporta had the balls to say that Messi could not continue and I have to put the club first. All of us did not understand that at that time, but Laporta knew that this would have to be done. And at the same time, he slowly started to use players like Gavi, Nico Gonzalez, Alejandro Balde, Jugla, and some other players. Fast forward today, right, we only have Gavi and Alejandro Balde from that season, but youngsters were getting promoted. And during the summer of 2021, while we saw Messi leave, we also saw the entrance of Sergio Aguero, Eric Garcia, Memphis Depay. He knew that Ronald Koeman no longer could continue at the club, and that is why he said, okay, Koeman, you have been here for 6 months, but I want Xavi Hernandez. And so he upgraded from that 2021 year. We go into the 2022-2023 season, and he activated more financial levers by selling 25% of the domestic television rights to Sixth Street. He also sold 49% of Barca Vision to Orpheus Media and Socios.com for 208 million euros. So he achieved record figures in commerce, sponsorships, and facility use. And we reported a profit for that season of 304 million euros after tax, leading towards Barcelona signing a couple of players. This was the exact same season where we won La Liga and the Supercopa de España, right? Winning our first league after 4 years of not winning it and without Lionel Messi. So we brought in Lewandowski, Rafinha, Jules Koundé, all players who still impact Barcelona today. And we saw the sale of Coutinho, we saw the sale of Aubameyang, and we saw the rise of Lamine Yamal, the rise of Alejandro Balde. More players continue to show more prominence within the youth levels. We move on to the 2023-2024 season. This was Xavi Hernandez's second full season, once again hired by Joan Laporta, and he continued to reduce the wage bill by 170 million euros. We achieved a positive ordinary profit of 12 million euros. We set a new sponsorship revenue recorded of over 210 million euros, record turnover of nearly 110 million euros from Barca licensing and merchandising. And once again, we continue to add more emphasis on Lamine Yamal, and that's mainly because we lost Dembélé, but we improved our squad overall by bringing in Gundogan, bringing in Joao Felix, bringing in Joao Cancelo, and focusing on the youth outside of Lamine Yamal, with Fermin Lopez coming up and Hector Fort also coming up. So the squad remained and competitive. And from a financial point of view and sporting point of view, we were getting better. Now, we did not win any trophies that season, unfortunately, due to being very unlucky, but overall, it was a positive season. And we saw the squad as a squad that had a strong foundation, and we can build on top of that. So after that season, in the summer of 2024, Joan Laporta said, okay, we're going to be taking the next step. It is a slow process, but this is going to be our next step, and that is for us to let go of Xavi Hernandez and bring in Hansi Flick, a coach that can get more goals out of this team, which was the one thing that was missing. And at the same time, during the summer of 2024, we projected 5 million euros in profit for the season, maintaining wage bill stability at around 500 million euros and seeking to extend and improve the kit deal with Nike. We had a very strong start to La Liga this season with 7 straight wins. We continue to yet again promote the youth players like Casado, like Marc Bernal especially. We brought in Dani Olmo for 60 million euros, Víctor for 3 million euros. And at that point, we saw other youngsters like Kubarsi maintain themselves in a starting 11 position. And now it has been recorded that before Joan Laporta took over Barcelona, within the top 5 highest salaries, right? When you combine those salaries together, it accumulated towards 185.5 million euros. This was before Joan Laporta. After Joan Laporta, right, 5 years later, when you combine the top 5 highest salaries in Barcelona, it only accumulates to 92.2 million euros. This was coming from 185.5 million euros. So it has been cut by half. So there is much more stability. And like I've said, I believe that Barcelona is only going higher from here and getting healthier from here. And I find it just so crazy that once Barcelona finally achieved the 1-1 rule, now there is some Barcelona fan groups wanting to take down Joan Laporta. It doesn't make any sense. And we haven't even begun talking about the new stadium, right? The Spotify Camp Nou that is going to be generating massive income per season. And at this point, we're only going to be fine-tuning key areas. Like we need an all-star number 9 to replace Lewandowski in the very near future. It could be Erling Haaland or Gyökeres. We also just need a complete left winger that can replace Rafinha or compete with Rafinha in the near future. It could be Nico Williams or Rafael Leao. And then I would also say that maybe tweak the right back position, bring competition to Jules Koundé, and have a much more natural right back like Dumfries, maybe someone like Frimpong, maybe somebody like Trent, just to put out some ideas. But to do such moves, Barcelona have to do financially well in the upcoming summer of 2025, which is going to be held by Joan Laporta, and he is working on it. We have the Nike deal. The Camp Nou is being built. We are selling the VIP seats, and so I find it very optimistic for us to continue to work with Joan Laporta. This whole thing about trying to take him down, it is stupidity and bonkers. So that is it. That is going to be wrapping up today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.